Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Luminous Human School. I'm Christy Sandino, and I'm here with Lindsay Davis.
Hello.
Today, we want to talk about a huge topic, and we're going to do our best to distill a couple highlights. We want to talk about letting go.
Mm-hmm.
So letting go just weaves through all aspects of life. It's
Yeah.
part of the loop of every cycle and tends to be one that a lot of people can get stuck, sticky around.
Mm-hmm.
It
That's
can feel so hard to let go.
yeah.
I know that in the past I've had so many different places in life where it's felt so painful to let go, whether it's been a job, friendships, relationships, places where I've lived.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So all the way down to yeah, books that am not reading, am not looking at, and are just sitting on a shelf. So,
Clothes.
oh,
Just trinkets, stuff that you have accumulated over the years, things from your childhood. So many things.
yeah. So it's a big one,
Big one. Yes.
and it feels important to talk about. And we'd love to share just a couple tools, perspectives, yeah, helpful tools that will help, you move through the letting go process, things that have helped us.
Yeah, because a lot can come up, emotionally when you're starting to go through things that you have or thinking about the past or, like you said, relationships, friendships, all of that. I mean, there's a lot of emotion tied into these things. So when you start this process, there's just a lot that can arise within that.
Yeah. Yeah, so one of the first things I want to talk about is the relationship piece.
Mm,
And that can be friendships, work relationships, love relationships.
mhm.
Um and and I do want to say that while what I'm going to talk about could apply to death and grief, that's not specifically what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah.
Just to give that distinction. So, one of the things that I've been noticing recently, I've been fostering dogs this year,
Yeah.
and what I noticed coming up for me is, of course, it's completely normal that I would get attached as I take care of and nurture these dogs, and also a lot of them have come with, you know, healing needs, and so I've been nurturing their health and taking care of them, and there's definitely a certain bond that seems to form when you're doing that kind of loving nursing care.
Mm.
But even with dogs that haven't needed that, there's been this really strong bond that's formed, and I noticed myself really, crying and having a lot of grief
Yeah.
every time a dog got adopted.
That would be so hard for me.
And that's honestly, that's one of the first questions I always get when I tell someone I'm fostering dogs. They always say, "Oh, that must be really hard," or "Oh, you must get so attached." And my answer is yes.
Hmm. Yeah.
But of course, within that, I there's more important reasons that I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I know I'm saving lives.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm teaching dogs to trust before they go to their forever home. There's so many gifts and blessings that happen.
And they get to
And
like come to a nurturing space too, and to just be like loved while they're going through their healing, and just having a safe space to land when maybe they haven't had one ever or for a long time. And that is so special. I love that. It's so beautiful.
yeah, so I started feeling into it and thinking, I'm giving and receiving so much love in this process.
Mm.
And I know the higher reason why I'm doing it, to save their lives and get them ready for their forever home. And I started to just receive this download from spirit as I sat in contemplation around this, that
Mm.
was just showing me how this translates to what I started by talking about, which is the end of friendships, the end of relationships, when these relationships, times together come to a close. In the past, what I've been first and foremost focusing on is the loss and the
Yeah.
pain of something that was there, that was providing me with this sense of having a place to give my love, of
Mhm.
an animal or a person that was the source of my love, that was giving love to me, companionship, someone to talk to. I'm going into friendship and relationship now, this sense of belonging,
Mhm. Yeah.
and so many different aspects and gifts and beautiful things that we give and receive through relationship.
Yeah.
And at the end, instead of focusing on those things and saying, wow, let me really take in fully all the gifts I receive from my time with this person or with this animal, and see how much I've grown, how much love and peace, beauty, joy, laughter I received during this time. I immediately went into the loss of those things.
Right.
And o- on a
Understandably too.
level, that's it's true.
Yeah.
There was was a source of those things, and then it's gone. And so
Yeah.
it feels like, and I notice thoughts coming up like, what if I never have a friend like that again? What if I never have a relationship again like that again? What if I
Mm.
never click with someone like that again? And those kind of fear thoughts, those lack thoughts, would prolong the grieving, the loss, the time
Mm.
of pain. So there's the letting go process. It's just the natural feeling of, I had something that was beautiful that contributed to my life, and now it's gone. And there's the the grieving
Yeah.
process
Yeah.
around that. But then on top of that, there's those kind of thoughts that make it even more painful.
Yeah. And
So
you can
yeah.
also like sometimes get into a loop with that, where it just starts, it compounds, and then you just get into this like deeper spiral with it, and it's hard to get out of that sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
Almost like I've had times where it's like I've started to feel like comfort in the grief because it was so familiar, in a sense. Like I was just like, well, it feels good now to be this way because I've been doing it for so long. Like it feels good
Mm.
to be sad right now because
Yeah, and
I still
I
do.
do think there's part of that that is part of the grieving process, because that sadness is tied somewhat to the love,
Yeah.
and some of that I think is a normal part of the grieving process.
Yeah.
Some of it is those painful thoughts that we reactivate the pain with again and again. Like every time we think that, we're reactivating this idea of lack and this idea
Mhm.
that we're we're not living in an abundant universe,
Mhm.
that the divine, that source, is not taking care of our needs, and that somehow we're just all of a sudden all alone and we're in it
Yes.
alone.
I have definitely felt that way.
And oh, that hurts.
It's hard. That is so hard when you're just like, well, I'm all alone now. Like, because you do start to feel that sense of like, I need you, universe. And the universe is like, yeah, I'm still here.
Right. So that is when it's really important to notice those kind of um untrue thoughts coming
Mhm.
up that are really reactivating pain,
Mhm.
and to reconnect with your own heart, reconnect with source, in whatever way you do that. So, in whatever your relationship is with your higher self, with divine source, with, you know, the universe of love and light,
Mhm.
and connecting, in through that again. So that's one piece. The other piece is to start to shift from the idea that this is just pure loss
Yeah.
to, I wouldn't say not feel the grief. I'm saying
Right.
feel this and then weave it with integrating all the love and the beauty that you received.
Yeah.
So the beautiful moments of laughter you had with a friend, maybe somewhere you went together where you had an amazing time, times where you felt supported, listened to, held.
Yeah.
And even if those things aren't going to continue with that person, really integrating the gratitude for
Mhm.
those moments is sending this signal out to the universe, more of this.
Yeah.
Like when you hold the gratefulness for the parts of the relationship that felt really good,
Mm.
then then you are, letting the universe know, spirit know, this is what I want more of. This is what I'm magnifying. This is what I'm really grateful for.
Absolutely.
And so you don't have to not grieve to send out this signal of gratitude. You can have both
Right.
at the same time.
Absolutely.
And what I noticed is that in the past, I've gone like very deeply into the loss and the pain of the loss and some of those re-traumatizing thought patterns,
Mhm.
and it's taken a long time to get to the end of that period and then do the integration
Mm.
period, which
Mhm.
I have done, but have realized how much more loving to myself it would feel to weave them both together at the same time.
Absolutely. I mean, I definitely resonate with that. Just thinking back to some past relationships where I definitely did sit in that grief for a very long time. Um, and, I let myself feel it. It was very real. It was, I needed to cry, I needed to lay on the floor and just be like, ugh, and feel all of that. But, looking back at that time in my life, I don't know if I brought as much of the that reflection that you're talking about, the gratitude of it, because I was just kind of like I was saying, kind of stuck in that loop with the grief. And I don't know that I was seeing as much of the gratitude. Whereas now and through those processes and new tools that I have and ways of being and feeling that I have now, I noticed like when my cat passed away, even the grief that I went through there or with that, I noticed myself feeling the grief. And then within moments of that, then doing that weaving, shifting and being like, and feeling the gratitude for all of the beauty and the time that I had with him. And then kind of feeling some grief, but then feeling that gratitude. And that was a lot more present for me with this time of grieving for me. So I think it's a really beautiful thing. I'm glad that you mentioned it because I'm like looking at my past and witnessing how that's shown up for me as well. And um, how good it feels, one, to just allow myself to feel all the things, but then to have that integration that you speak of with the gratitude and the remembering of all the beauty that was within that relationship that I had.
Yeah, and then we get to take that with us.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Uh,
it's like, yeah, there's still times that like that grief comes up, and then there's the times where, I look at like a picture of my cat and I'm like, oh my God, how cute is he? Like, oh, so beautiful. And it has like the process of it has looked different in being able to integrate and weave that in. So important.
The other thing that I noticed is a long time ago, what I used to feel like I needed to do in order to let go of, especially like a relationship or a friendship, was make that person wrong. And so I
Mm.
would have to really like find the things I was angry about. And so I could let go and be like, yeah, because you know what? That person really was like this and really was like that. And they didn't do this and they didn't do that. So I'm better off without them.
Hmm.
And there may be things that you want to look at and say, oh, I notice as I create a new friendship or I manifest a new love relationship, these are qualities I would like to see in that relationship or in that person.
Yeah.
But I no longer feel the need to latch on to anger or making that person wrong in order to be able to let go and to say like, oh, well,
Mhm.
fine, I'm better off without you anyway.
Yeah.
That I feel like I understand it and I understand why
Right.
I did it. And
Yeah.
it, there is, there can be a lot of fuel in anger that can help propel us forward. So it can be a step that can be really beneficial if we are having trouble disconnecting. But I think the thing to be aware of is then to do the to transmute it.
Yeah.
Then once you get beyond the anger and you can lift yourself up into a little bit of a higher state of being, to then say, okay, well, actually, as I let go of the anger, I just want to notice the qualities that maybe aren't, the ones I want to have in a relationship, or that
Yeah.
weren't serving my highest good or weren't aligned with who I am as a person. And I want to
Mm.
call in people that are aligned, that feel like my people, that
Yeah.
love the things I love, that, want to, look at the world from a, loving perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're making me think too of um, just in terms of like loving relationships that may have not worked out. I'm thinking of one in particular that, well, a couple, I guess, where, yeah, you're feeling that sort of like pain of it ending, especially if that person ended it and you did not. There can be a different kind of pain that's within that. Um,
Mhm.
or even just a rejection of any sort. For me, there have been times I've looked at that and I've felt the rejection and maybe felt some of that anger and that hurt. And then I would ask myself, like, how can I keep loving through this? Or like, how can I expand my heart more from this rather than, I think sometimes we have this tendency to want to close it off when we're hurt and be like, no one's ever going to hurt me again like that. I won't let them in. And I was like, no, I don't want this to harden my heart. I don't want this to close me off. I want this to expand me. How can I acknowledge what this is, feel the pain in it? It's weird. I'm really feeling this in my body, remembering the past. Like I'm feeling my heart actually speed up in pace as I talk about it.
Mm.
It's a very real feeling in me, but it was like, how can I truly love unconditionally? How can I look at this person and go, okay, that was something they needed to do for themselves and it wasn't resonating anymore. It wasn't a match anymore. Can I still love that person, in some capacity? It doesn't have to be like, oh my God, I'm still so in love with you. It's more just like, how can I just love that person and have an understanding and compassion for their decision, even though it broke my heart? Even though I'm feeling that pain, can I still find the love within myself to love them anyway? And yeah, that's gonna might be more challenging in certain situations than others, but um, that was just like a big question for me, and something I really sat with was just like, I want this to expand me more and allow me to have a greater capacity to love rather
Yes.
than shut myself off. And then if I get rejected, it's like, okay, can I continue to love? Can I continue to step into unconditional love? And that can be a difficult lesson sometimes, to really truly love unconditionally when people may have hurt you.
Yeah, something we've both said in breathwork ceremonies is, I love you and I let you go.
Mm, I actually love that
And
phrase. Yeah.
I love it too. And it's so powerful when you can truly connect to that love and let that person go. And
Yeah.
it creates such, it magnifies the love in such a powerful way for both
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And it does free you up to both people to move forward and continue loving with an open heart.
Hmm. Yes. It's truly so beautiful. Letting those things truly expand us in that movement forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much power in that. And, just the grips that anger can have on us when we hold a grudge, when we hold the anger. Like it's just like we're doing it to ourselves. Like we're the ones still holding on to all of that anger. We're the ones still holding on to all the pain, and that can hold us back. It's like we might hold a grudge towards somebody, but like they don't know.
I lost you. Are we still connected?
All right, we're back. My internet cut out. It totally kicked me out, but I'm not sure at what point in my thought I got cut off, but essentially I was just talking about um, from my past experiences going through challenges and needing to let go. It reminded me, or the lesson that I received from that was to continue keeping my heart open, to continue loving through that pain and that difficulty and allowing it to expand me rather than close me off. And I feel like that's just been a really beautiful lesson for me in moving forward, and just always being reminded to tap back into that essence of love that truly lives within me and that lives within all of us and is the essence of all of us. And just remembering that that's there and always available to us. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Also, for
Beautiful.
those of you that are watching YouTube or watching this on YouTube, my lighting has changed because it got dark outside.
That time of year.
Yeah. Letting
Yeah.
go of the sunlight. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, it is a perfect analogy because, nature m- demonstrates this for us, this process. And
Yeah.
we want to move through the whole circle of a cycle of a journey.
Yeah.
So letting go is also a completion.
Hmm.
And you want to consciously acknowledge when you're complete with a journey, a pattern, an energy, a relationship, or even a relationship as it has been. It might be something that you want to recreate in a new way, but you do need to consciously complete and acknowledge what you're letting go of. And so it becomes that full arc.
Mm.
And in that, you are, as I said, acknowledging what you learned and received, which integrates everything that, nothing happens on accident. We're not involved in patterns or relationships for no reason.
By chance.
Yeah. So they're there to serve us, and everything that we participate in, whether it's a thought process or a relationship, it's here for our good. We can pull the gold out of anything.
Mm.
So it doesn't have to feel like, you know, oh, that was a waste of my time. We always grow and learn in everything.
Always.
And then when we consciously complete, it's a signal to the universe. I'm ready for what's next. I'm ready to call in something that feels even more loving, even more expansive. I'm ready to step into a higher version of myself.
Hmm.
And when we don't do that, when we hold on, it creates a loop. And it's just kind of like a suffering loop where we're not letting go and we're not really still in the active learning stage of whatever we're holding on to. And it just becomes this stuck place or this loop. And it's a replaying of old energy.
Mm.
So when we just step into that, I am complete, I'm letting go, and then integrating the learnings, the love,
Yeah.
it's a very empowered place to let go from.
Absolutely.
And I want to acknowledge that letting go, especially when it's of a person, a relationship, a friendship, it can feel scary. It can feel like you're losing love, losing belonging, losing friendship, losing safety.
Mm.
So in that letting go process, it's really important. This is a tool we wanted to be sure and share with you, that you're affirming to yourself, I'm safe. I I trust myself. I feel safe in my body. I trust the divine. I trust God. I trust the universe. I trust my higher self. And I trust divine flow.
Mm.
So we want to allow the divine to flow through us, that creative flow, that flow of life. And in that, there's always going to be endings.
Yeah.
It's the natural course, as I, mentioned with nature, we see it mirrored everywhere. So we know that it's part of what we're meant to experience here.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to affirm that safety within our bodies, affirm our trust in divinity, in that we're supported, that we're not alone, that we're loved,
Mm-hmm.
and really hold that as a foundation for us as we can experience the doubt and not feeling safe while we're affirming that I know I'm feeling that right now, and I also know the truth is that I am safe.
Mm.
I know that I'm doubting some of the decisions that I made, but I also know that I trust myself to
Mm-hmm.
make the best decision that I can in each present moment of now.
Yeah.
So we're
Yes.
always holding that for ourselves, even while we're experiencing something that may feel like the opposite of that.
Mm. It's so beautiful. What an incredible practice to bring in and be reminded that yeah, we can be going through that difficult thing and still hold those truths, knowing that that's still available. That's always available. Yeah, and I like what you said too about like not feeling like, say it's a relationship and some people can be like, wow, I wasted 2 years of my life, and I never believe that to be true. It's never a waste. Just what you said. It's, there's always learnings and growth that can come from it. And also just knowing coming out of a relationship like that of some sorts, it's, you can look back and be like, well, these are the things I really liked, and then you can also understand the things that you don't necessarily want to have in the next relationship, so that contrast allows you to then choose more of what you do want. So knowing what you don't want allows you to know more of how you want your relationship to look moving forward, or anything really. That contrast is important.
Yeah. So you can hold it as an empowerment,
Yeah.
to be empowered knowing what doesn't work for you.
Hmm. And learning more about your, your personal boundaries, your personal needs, your personal desires, which are, growing and evolving within us. So it's always a practice to grow, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing we just want to bring in, and you mentioned too, is just kind of acknowledging um, what has happened, or um, really honoring all of it. So can we bring it into potentially a ceremony? If that's something that you have in your life, maybe creating a ceremony around letting something go. And that could be a relationship, that could be a thing, it could be a piece of clothing, like whatever something could mean a lot to you, and you're like, okay, I'm ready to like actually let this physical like object go. Whatever it is for you, I mean, you can create ceremony around it and allow that space to be of a deep honoring and acknowledging of what it was for you, and then creating that space to let it go with with that, in that conscious space and with intention.
Yeah.
So, if you are unfamiliar with ceremony, or that's not something you do a whole lot, you can go back and listen to our first episode where we did a ceremony for new beginnings. We did a cacao ceremony, and just see kind of how we chose to do that. And that's one example. There are so many ways that you can create ceremony. It could be a long ceremony, it could be something really short, it could be a 5 minute honoring and appreciating and having, learned the lessons from this thing. And you could bring in an object or a poem that you want to say, or a prayer to let this thing go. Uh,
Light a candle and just, say the things you've learned, and then with the blowing out of the candle, make
mm,
that the letting go.
yeah, I've even had been in ceremonies before. It's like you're writing something down and then you're burning it in the fire, or you're tearing it up or something. So, there's so many ways that you could create it and do what resonates with you and what feels the best for you. But that can be another way of just of truly honoring and then completing that cycle, like you spoke of, is just having an intentional ending to it that just feels really good and feels like there is that closure and um, the ending, so that you're saying, okay, what's next? I'm ready.
Yeah.
So beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, we really hope this serves you, that you can pull some of the tools we mentioned here and use them in your life, and we hope that they really serve your highest good and
Always
uplift you and help you in this process of letting go with intention and love.
all the love.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, with that, we love you so much.
we do. We love you so much.